Okay, so the purpose of this Zoom here is to get you guys up to date on exactly how the mechanisms in the back office work. We don't use all of them in there. There are a few things in there that we're not using yet, but I'll go through the ones that we are using, that we will use on a regular basis in there. I will then go over a bit of the 90-day plan page, showing you where everything is on there for reference for you. And of course, our Telegram group if you're not a member of that yet. So let me start with the back office, okay? So when you log into the back office, if you're on your mobile device, it will log you in directly to the invite page. So you'll go sign by wallet, you'll log in, you'll end up on this page here. This is where the spiderweb income is, and the reason is because your referral link and everything is there. That's on this side here. But what I want to do is I'm going to cover the stake, the long-term bond, the reward pool, the DAO, the invite, the turbine, and that's about it, because we're not using any of the other stuff other than those. Those are the main things that you're going to use all the time in here. So looking at starting with the stake. Okay, so whenever you add new funds to this back office, so you've gone through the rewards program. Maybe I should just do that first. Let me just do that. Let me just kind of walk through how we take people into this. The new people, we want them to go through the reward plan because we want to give them an opportunity to possibly win some free money. Okay, so the hourly prize, the only time you will use the Join Lucky Hash on the hourly is if this is at 17,000 or more here. Not here, but here. Okay? The ranking, the weekly rankings are so far ahead, we don't even recommend it anymore because we don't know when you're going to get into the draw, whether it be 2 or 3 weeks. So we recommend the monthly pool. So anybody coming in brand new, this is probably where you're going to start up and do your entry into there. And how you're going to do that, you're going to click the Join Lucky Hash. Now, how this works, you're not buying a ticket. You are generating a hash ID that works like a free ticket and gets thrown into the draw. So at the end of the month, when this amount is drawn, whatever this amount is, 40% will go to the highest deposit, not combination of deposits. So it's not going to, if you did 15 deposits, it's not going to add them all together. It's the largest single deposit will win whatever this amount is. The rest of these, the rest of the 50 all the way down is at random. So you could win any of these prizes at random. And that's all simply by going in Join Lucky Hash and then entering an amount. The minimum amount is 101. But I will tell you that the bigger the amount you put in here, the bigger the chances of you getting a larger prize. So if you were going to come in and deposit $500, you have to decide whether you want to do it in $101 increments, whether you want to do it in $250 increments, or whatever it is. However many tickets you want to go in there, the smaller the entry amount is. Or you could just do 500 in there and maybe have an opportunity to win one of the bigger prizes that are in here. Okay, so if we look at, whoops, what on my screen? Let me refresh. Okay, so we look at the monthly here. So you have a whole lot of different amounts that are in here. The ones that come in with, I'm going to say between $100 and $200, you'll be down in the bottom levels down here. And then the higher you go up, the higher level your ticket draw would go into, all the way up to, of course, if you had the biggest deposit, you get the biggest prize, right? So does that all make sense to everybody at this point? Need to get a yes or a no, just type a Y or an N in there if that makes sense to you, and then we'll move on to the next phase. Okay, good. Okay, so once you have entered in through the Lucky Hash, it's gone in, you've deposited, it's made your hash ID, gone into the draw. The next place you go is the stake, and your money will be sitting. No, I got to connect the wallet. Hang on. Let me just, this happens sometimes. Okay, under stake, then your money will end up right here in the unstaked balance. At this point, you would click max and stake the LGNS, and it will go into the system. Now, when you do that, on every deposit, doesn't matter how many deposits you do, every single deposit that you put in will go into a warm-up balance for up to 2 epochs. Now, right here, there's 12 minutes left in the first one, and then it would be additional 8 hours. If you got in here, you'd only have to wait 8 hours and 12 minutes. But this could be at 7 hours, so that would be 15 hours. Regardless, when it's in here and sitting in this balance here, it is staking, it is compounding. You just cannot unstake it. It's frozen in there up to 16 hours, so you cannot unstake it. After that, you will have in brackets locked, and that will turn into a red claim button. Once you click that, it will move it up to the stake balance here. And at this point in time, you could unstake everything if you wanted to, and just click that button and boof, off to your wallet it goes. And there you go. You will pay a 5% fee when you unstake. And that 5% goes back into the contract, which is this amount here. It'll go into here. This is what keeps the contract healthy. That and including the breakage that we talked about on the builder's call. Okay? So any questions at this point on this? You all good? Yes? No? Y or N? You're good? Okay. I just need to make sure that you all understand this. Okay? So now, you heard us talk about the builder's call. So on the builder's call, that's where the invite comes into play. This is where your spider web income comes in, right? So when you have a referral, whether it's your own referral wallet or whether you've shared it with somebody, however you're going to build this for yourself personally, you have choices of whatever you want to do. All those wallets that you refer, whether you're self-referring wallets to yourself or whether you're helping others get involved and make them money, the commissions that you will earn will end up in here. Those commissions are what you make when you get paid from the match. So for instance, let's say I registered Jose, and this is Jose's account, and this is what Jose is getting every 8 hours. Because I referred Jose, I would make 16% of whatever this 0.0337 is. And that would get paid to me into here. Now, if it was an invite, it would go into the spiderweb income. So it would show up in here every 8 hours. And as you go down, you'll see in here, it'll have a record of how much you're getting paid every 8 hours. Now, this is just kind of a demo account, so you can't see that in here. But it'll show you every 8 hours how much you're getting paid by all the wallets that you have referred to your current wallet. And that's what shows up in here. When there are rewards in here, we use what we call the turbine or the turbocharger. So when you have amounts that are in here, like this, you will then click the turbine button. That will then move it to the turbine. Now, the turbine does two different things. It actually, whatever this number is that's in here, it replicates it. Okay? So when you go to click max, and you're going to put, so there's nothing in there. So when you click max and it deposits or puts the amount in here, it'll tell you how much, of course, the balance that you have and how much it's going to cost you in DAI to process that. So you're always going to have excuse me, DAI in your wallet. If you are referring, whether self-referring or referring others, you need to have a running balance of DAI in here. And you can do that one of two ways. You can either add more DAI, or you can unstake some of your LGS and put it in there. I don't recommend that. I recommend at the beginning, when you're deciding what you're going to deposit in your wallet and you say to yourself, I'm going to refer, make sure that you put in a little extra. Now, we tell you it's $125 to start. That's if it's just for you. But if you are going to refer, I will recommend you take 150 and put in there and leave 25 in die that you will have there at all given time in order to process out this. So here's what happens. When you have the die in there, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to click the max button and you're going to click participate. It's then going to process this LGNS through what they call the silent countdown timer, which is the turbocharger. It takes 24 hours for it to process that. When it's done, it'll have a red claim button for you to press. But when you do this, it duplicates that amount and sends it back to your stake balance. Now you have two choices, okay? You can either take this and process it back out and replenish the die that you used. That's what I do. But you have a choice. You can actually stake this to go back into the system. And then you again have another choice in the turbine. When this comes out, you would click claim, and at this point, it will also go back to the stake balance. But you have to make sure that you have die sitting in your wallet. If you don't, I would recommend at that point, you click here, reverse it back and replenish your die. Otherwise, you're going to have to go and take more money out of your pocket and buy more die for processing out your commissions. Because again, in the invite, this every 8 hours, an amount will show up in here. Every 8 hours. I'm processing mine at least twice a day at this point, because I'm going out and I'm building a business out of this. So I'm processing 2 to 3 times a day sometimes out of the spider web. So I need to have a pretty big running balance of die in there. Sometimes this is like 2 or 3 LGNS in here. So anywhere between, $45 and $60 could be sitting in there. So I need to have at least that sitting in my balance right here so that I can process that out through the turbine. Any questions? It's real important that you guys understand this part. Okay, I'm going to assume you understand it. So I'm going to move on. Okay, so the last thing would be the DAO. Okay, this will come down the road. Maybe it'll come sooner rather than later for some of you. The DAO is when you actually become a V1 or higher. So you've got 3 legs or 3 wallets that have 50,000 or more volume in each of those wallets. When they do, you're going to start receiving the rewards to here, and it will pay every 8 hours. And then again, you're going to turbine those out. So when it comes through here, you're going to go through the turbine. You're going to need to have what? DAI to do that. Okay, so you're going to need to process that through. Now, none of us are VIPs yet, so we can't really show you that. I'm right on the cusp of it at this time. But once that happens, then we'll be able to show you how this processes out. But again, this is going to be, who knows how far down the road. For some, it might be a short time. Others, it could be a lot longer. As I mentioned in that example of self-referred wallets, it could be 18 to 20 months from now before you start earning anything from here, because you're not referring anybody other than the wallets you have. And you started with a basic 125. But at some point in time, regardless, you are going to hit here, whether you're referring or not. And that's why we go over the builder, which is the self-building, and the builder, which means that you are referring. You could have self-referred wallets that you're placing people under. Okay? So this is basically the basics that you're going to go through. Now, we do have our long-term stake. It's currently on maintenance right now. So they'll be bringing that back a little bit later on. You'll see it's going to show maintenance here for right now. So you can't do any long-term staking at this point. They will reopen it at some point in time. The long-term bonds, this here, you can do at any time. You need DAI to do this. Okay, so at any given time, you can put whatever the sufficient amount of DAI in. So if I went and did a 360, I could put any amount in here. I mean, we were joking around. I did a 60-day one with $2. So doesn't really pay anything, not worth it to do it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But, if you did a 500 or 1,000 in here, you'd have to have $500 or 1,000 in DAI in here because you use DAI to fund this. Okay, and then you would buy the bond. And what happens is the bond will start to pay out, whatever one you take, it'll pay out daily. So this would be 1/30th. Every day it'll pay you out whatever the amount is for that day in 8-hour increments. Same thing with the 60. Pay out every day in 8-hour increments until it's paid out. Normal bonds, you'd have to wait till the end of the term, in order to get paid. These ones here will pay out. So by the time you get to the 360th day, you'd only have a little bit left in there to pay you, and then you're done because you'd been receiving it during that whole time. Now people ask, well, why would you do this rather than the other way? Well, it's like doing a deposit the same way. You're getting the LGNS at a reduced price in this case, and you're going to get 10.96 percentage over the course of that 360 days. So you're getting more LGNS in here, and it's paying you so that you can go and stake it. So it's kind of a win-win, because actually when you start getting paid, you'll have an option that says stake all in here. So you can click on it and you can stake, and it'll go straight into your staking. It'll go right into the warm-up and it starts staking right away. So there's none of that going to, click the max and stake and stuff. It goes straight in there. You're clicking a button and it's there, and it's staking and it's compounding. And you're getting more LGNS because you're getting it at a reduced rate, and you're getting that 10.96 over the 396. Now I've seen this as high as 27%. So you're going to want to look at this. Like when I did the 60-day one here, at the $2, I got it at, I think it was 11.5 or something like that percent. So you want to watch this because these percentages change. It's all dependent on the demand that they need for the LGNS in the system. But this is a great way to add to your staking that's in there. Any questions on that? Okay, let me see. In that page shows me 5 wallets, but nothing received. Is that okay? Can you explain? Are you talking about under the invite area, Jose?
I'm talking in the DAO area.
Oh, the DAO. Well, do you have 5 wallets that are over, or 3 wallets that are over 50,000 in volume?
That I don't know. It shows me 5 wallets there, but
yeah, you will always show. It'll always show what you have in there. Okay, like for instance, I'm going to pause the recording on here because I don't like to show this part. Okay, so I paused the share. Hang on, I gotta pause the recording. Okay, so now that I've shown you how to understand what that is, and nodes, another thing some people ask, what are nodes? Okay, so up here, when you have nodes here, some people might go, well, you know what, I'm showing 12 here, but yet I've got 14 people that I referred down here, because these are your referrals. The nodes are everybody who have over $100 in staking in their wallet at any given time. If they fall below that, they get removed as a node, and they'll get added back once they're above the $100 threshold again. Okay, So sometimes you will see your nodes go up and down in there because maybe they're sitting at $100 in one staking or 105 staking. Then the coin drops 10 cents and now they're at 99.96, and they won't be a node anymore. They have to be over 100. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So that's basically it for the back office. So I'm gonna